Welcome to another episode of the podcast, and Jason's back. Hooray!
Welcome.
After we spent 10 minutes, my energy was kind of pushed out
I
of me
was
because you couldn't figure it out the microphone. I was about to just
I
hit
was
record and let
draining
it
my
go.
energy myself. Trust me. I was just like, why will this not work for me? I'm pushing the buttons. I'm doing the things I'm supposed to do. And it's driving me nuts.
The world drives you nuts at times.
It does. I've been driven nuts for the past months and months now. It's been draining me.
Hey, you haven't had a podcast episode. So that's your therapy.
Yeah, no, my pod therapy. Yeah, it's been so busy. I got the kids. I got, because of the whole pandemic, I can't uh I can't have them in school right now because something's starting to become mandatory in schools, and gotta avoid that because I'd
Why do
like
you
to
got
keep
to
my
bring it
family
to this
healthy.
right at the start of the show?
I'm
I'm
just
done
saying
talking. No,
this
I'm
is
done talking
so
about
I'm stuck.
politics. I'm
I'm
done talking
homeschooling
about
my
mandates.
kids.
I don't care. I'm done
I'm
talking about it
homeschooling
all.
my kids. I'm
Good.
teacher Jason now.
Good.
So they're
Good.
home 24 hours a day.
You
And
need to do
man,
more with your
that
life.
will
You need to
wear
do more
you
with your
down.
life.
Whew,
I
wear
can't.
you down.
I'm tired of everybody bringing it up because it always gets into like a
That was
serious
my
chat.
short.
I want a
If
dumb
it
comedic
wasn't for
one.
this, you know what I'm saying? Just it's been fucking with everybody. And yeah, I mean, like I was telling you, talking to you, I was just, I've had such a shitty last couple of months, just a rough go at things. And I try to always look at everything glass half full, see the positive in everything. And I'm just getting beaten down. It's just these I feel like I have dreams and I cannot accomplish them because I have so much else I have to do. Jamie just had her car accident a while back, and she's still messed up. She's supposed to go to 2 or 3 different PT and chiropractic and massage.
Chiropractors are
My
bullshit.
yeah, they're not really helping her too
It's
much either. They
$90
just
for a session. What do
they
you?
just use
Are
the
you
impulse machine.
the
That's all
world?
they do. They just blast you with the impulse machine, and
I'll
they're like, "Ah, you're
never,
good now."
I'll never forget. I went to a chiropractor. He put those sensors on my back. He's like, "I'll be back in like 10 minutes." He's like, "Let me know when it's when it's close to hurting, but it's still it doesn't really hurt." I was like, "Sure." So he started going. He's like, "Don't try and act tough. Just tell me when it starts to hurt." He starts going, and I feel it starting to hurt, and then I'm like, okay, now it's starting to hurt, but it's like right where it's kind of hurting." Then he walks out of the room for 10 minutes. I'm like,
And it
"Fuck!" I'm
depends
like
on your pain
sitting there,
level.
and I'm like, it's
It
killing
feels
me.
like someone's punching you in your back repeatedly. Just wait.
This one felt like
Yeah.
it was like twisting, like if it were like getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and then you get to like when you're in the car with your seatbelt and it
Mm-hmm.
gets stuck, and then
I hate that.
but it's
You're
like
pulling on it and you just can't get anymore. And
that's what
it
it
feels
feels
like
like.
it's starting to choke you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the worst. Yeah,
goddamn seatbelts
I
put you in a
stopped going to the
stranglehold.
chiropractor because I threw my back out. I
Doing
throw it
what?
out every
What?
year or
This is a
so.
yearly thing.
Yeah, every year or so I throw it out doing something, lean down wrong, and just, I mean, last time I was throwing something into the toilet just to flush it, a little piece of paper or something, and I just leaned down over the toilet and just there it goes. That was the wrong bend
What
and
happens when
pissed
you
off my
do that?
spine.
What happens?
It makes this cascading feeling of warmth across my back,
Like you peed
and
yourself?
then all of my muscles in that area of my back just seize up, just slowly seize up completely, and make it so I could barely walk. I could barely do anything. If I move too much, if I move the wrong way, it sends spasms up my whole spine. Just really hard to even stand up and get around.
I would love it if you were my dad, because if I was a kid about to be in trouble for something, I would just try and find a way to make your back go out. And then I'd be like,
I've
well,
done it fighting with the kids before. I did it one time when me and Eric were play fighting. I went forward and it was like, no, not that, not that. And I always I stand up as fast as I can and I go, no, not this time. And sometimes I'm okay. Sometimes it was just like a false alarm. But most of the time when I do that, it's like, here it comes. And then the spasms hit. I got to,
wait, hold
I'll
on,
tell you
hold
a
on,
funny
hold on, hold
story.
on. The way you just described that was like how people describe almost shitting their pants. They're like, it was so
True.
close, and then there was that moment.
True, and it makes shitting weird too. But I'll tell you a funny story. I went to a client's house one time, And this was when I was exercising a lot. I was eating really good. I was feeling awesome and stuff. And I got out of the car and I leaned in the trunk to get my vacuum, and just it hit that spot and made my back go out. And I stood myself up as quick as I could. And I just stood there holding the back of the trunk, as like my back just gets rocked with spasms. And the biggest thing is don't fall down. If you fall down, you have to get back up, and that's going to make it twice as hard. So you just have to stand there and hold something and just take the pain. And I stood there, and I pulled my phone out of my pocket and I called her and I said, "Hey, I'm out in your driveway and I just threw my back out and I can't go anywhere." So I tried several times to walk away from the car, and every time I'd step a couple feet from the car, my back would start spazzing really bad, and I'd have to grab the car back up for stability and support. I ended up standing in her driveway for 2.5 hours.
Jesus Christ. Like a statue? People putting coats on you and shit?
I kept hoping that it would help out. Kept hoping it would clear up so I could walk into her house or sit down. I kept trying to get back into my car, and I could barely even lift a leg up to put it into the car. And then when I tried to bend to sit, my back would just go, no, and just I couldn't do it. So she kept bringing me out glasses of water, ibuprofen. She brought me this pain.
I'm sorry.
I used this pain gel all over my back and stuff.
I just got a weird scene in my head of like you frozen outside. But hold on, I got you
holding onto a car.
Hold on. I got you sitting outside by your trunk of your car with like the hood up, and you have your hand on top of the hood, and someone's looking out the window, and it's fall, and the next you know it's like December, and next you know it's like summertime, and like kids are just like, you're just sitting there with a longer beard, just fucking
it felt like it was hot and I was sweating. There were bees flying around me, and I couldn't swat at them because every time like my back, and I'd have to hold the car again. I was like one of those people in the contest where they have to sit there and hold the car for so long, and the person that holds it longest wins.
I would be the kid that would walk up with like a lollipop and like lick the lollipop. And I'm like,
finally, Jamie had to come pick me up.
You do that a lot. You know that you make this an editing nightmare when I'm trying to get a point
barely
across.
able to get into her truck, but thankfully her truck sat up a little higher.
You son of a bitch.
So I killed my back and jumped in her truck and left.
I just picture like if I was a kid, I'd walk up with a lollipop and I'd be like, "What are you doing, mister?" And you're like, "Well, I threw my back out, so I can't move." And I'm like, "What happens if someone tries to move you?" Like, "I'll be in severe pain." And I just come up,
just push on your butt.
I got $100. Here's $100. Set it on the floor. You're like, "God damn it."
No, there was no bending down. I couldn't get anything below my waist.
You just scared the shit out of me. I hope you know that. Like, are you getting that fixed? Are you medically like looking at getting that fixed?
No, I just think it just goes out every once in a while. But it gets me back to the point of chiropractors. Well, it's like once every year, sometimes a year and a half, sometimes I go a couple. It's been doing it since I was in my late 20s.
Yeah, but
30s.
You got to think of like what the future scenarios could be. You could be getting mugged and you're running away and your back fucking goes like, fuck.
I think about that all the time.
Damn it.
But that was where I got to think about chiropractors, is that I would go in for my back, and it would take just as long if I go in to see a chiropractor for my back to heal up as it would take if I just come home and lay in bed for 2 or 3 days. It was the same amount of time. They did nothing for me. All they did was made me uncomfortable because I had to lay out on the table, and it killed my back to lay like that.
Well, the issue is like chiropractors. The reason why I don't really trust it as much is how quick the sessions are, but also the people who work in chiropractics don't ever talk about that they're a chiropractor because they know there's such a heavy stigma on being a chiropractor.
Yeah, and I even had a really good chiropractor. He was a super nice guy. And his thing too was like, you could almost tell that he was kind of like, he did what he could, but he knew that more of it had to come from you than from him. So he was like, push fluids, drink as much water as you can. Here's a list of all the different stretches that I need you to work on and stuff, just to isolate that area. And he was really cool like that. And if you didn't come back, if you just took his stretches and drank a bunch of water, like he said, then he was happy. That's the kind of chiropractor I like.
When you said push fluids, I just picture like a mattress
just try
store.
to
And I picture
they just want you to lay down so they can crack your neck and shit.
Jason, come on.
Listen to me, man.
We're almost
This
1,000
is how
episodes in. You just train wreck every
this
time.
is how I talk to my family. That's the problem. I grew up like this.
So do we
It's
have too
there's
good of a
five of us.
relationship? Do we have too
Dude,
good of
there's
a
five of us
relationship?
in the family, and we would all just sit in a circle and we would like yell at each other.
We
And
didn't
whoever
get
yelled
any
the
food.
loudest got the point across. I'm Alpha Mike now. I'm the captain.
This is my show.
I'm just messing with you. Sorry. I
I
didn't
guess
mean to
that just
derail
means we
you.
have a really good relationship then, if we can do that to each
Hell
other.
yeah.
That means when you're
Hell
saying
yeah.
like
You're
when
one
you're
of the few
opening up,
people I still talk to.
oh, that's awesome. When you're opening up your
Mhm.
heart, I'm gonna make sure I crush it hard.
That just means that you can hit me harder because you know where it hurts.
Hey, because I actually care.
I know you do.
It's like Christmas. I don't just get you socks. I go all out on you.
I don't know. Socks aren't a bad present.
I know I have holes in all mine.
I could always use new socks.
You know what? I was just driving back from work and it's night. So I was like, are my fucking headlights on? Because my headlights are so low where I'm like, dude, I can't see where they just did a new road and I don't think they added the white lines yet. So you have to guess where your lane is. So I'm driving and it's rainy out and I'm like, like what? Or I was freaking out. So I drove my like my high beams on because I know those were on. I could see the light switch. But then I'm driving. I'm like, dude, like I have to pray to God. Like it's like when you're playing Game Boy in the car and you had to wait till a street light passes over your head to be able to see the screen back in the day. That's like what it was like driving. I have to wait for these red light, green lights to light up the thing so I know what lane I'm in. Am I in the right lane? I don't know.
I did that the last time it rained really hard. It was quite like that. I was in my little car and I have a little Hyundai Accent. And so it drives around really good and stuff and it's zippy, but in the rain, I get like very limited visibility.
Do you
Those
like driving at
headlights
night?
only cut so much. I do usually,
I don't
just
know.
not in the monsoonal rain.
See,
I like at night when it's clear.
my buddy Brandon, I asked him if he liked driving at night, and he's a welder during the day. And he was like, no, because I can't physically see at night. I was like, what? He goes, I've been welding for so long that like it's messed with your eyes. And I'm like, so those night vision goggles that they sell in like a CVS, when you put them on your, they don't work.
Yeah, that would really suck. I know people that still drive like that though. It's scary.
What, with night vision problems?
Yeah, with really bad night vision problems.
You just gotta guess and hope you don't kill anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you know which way you're going, pretty much. Follow
But
follow the street lights.
if you hit somebody, then it's like, I think it was a squirrel. That was definitely a squirrel. It's like a squirrel is not that big. We have 7-foot squirrels now.
Maybe it was a dog.
That's even worse. Rather
And
you hit
besides,
a person than a dog.
I've got a very small car. It would probably just bounce someone off, honestly.
Yeah, there are moments where I'm like, I see somebody driving a car, like speeding through a parking lot, and I'm just like walking in front of it, like not trying to run across because I'm like, no, you're gonna fucking stop. I'm like, I will dent your car though. Like I will. I'm not that even that big, but I'll break a windshield. I'll jump and try and hit the windshield.
I will put a number on your bumper, buddy. Look out.
Yeah, hope you have Allstate.
Dude, did I tell you about that guy that I saw the guy that I saw getting towed last time I talked to you?
You said you caught someone on your dash cam and then you were going to send it to me, but I never got the footage.
Oh yeah, that was that weird guy the other day. Man, that guy was strange. Portland is a trip because like I saw McLaren like right before that and I was like, that is so pimping. And then I just see this crazy dude with wild stuck up everywhere orange hair, like no shirt, all kinds of chains, fur coat around his shoulders, like walking the wrong way up the side of the road with a shopping cart. And it's like, are you homeless? Do you just not understand how things work? What's wrong with you, dude?
Is there a
It was
person?
crazy.
Is there a person that goes and finds these shopping carts? Like they travel, and I'm like, there has to be one. There has to be a job out there for someone going like 5 states over to find the shopping cart
I'm
that a
guessing
bum
there are
just
cart
took.
wranglers.
Yeah, but no, not like.
I'm betting
But
that stores employ them.
there's cart wranglers for the store, but I'm talking about like where's the actual people that have to get in like an Escalade and drive around looking like they're looking for someone to kill. They have to look for these shopping carts, like there it fucking is, and they have to run
Well,
across
they're
the
not
street.
gonna do it in an Escalade, probably.
I picture an
I take a
Escalade.
flatbed or something. Probably be much easier
No, you
to
got to
collect
walk the
them.
cart back.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
No,
we're 4
they
states
take 'em
over. You
for
better get
miles.
started.
No, I've had times when like I've seen a cart and I'm like, dude, Fred Meyer's is like 3 miles from here. I give the guy credit just for walking that far with a cart.
I'm
Yeah, how
banking.
hard is it to cross the streets with those things and stuff? It's a pain
Yeah,
in the
and it's
ass.
worse when you get a dead wheel, and then it's like, fuck, here we
Yep.
go.
Yep.
Feel
Or
like every
just the
time I
one
go
wheel
into the
that
store,
rattles
yeah, at
the whole way. Oh, it's painful.
least people know where you are at that point.
True. You aren't sneaking up on them.
I've been thinking more and more about like the advice you get from people. Like I've heard some really good advice from people. I've heard some really good wisdom from people that aren't like what you would consider like higher education, just people that have life experience. And I'm like, I wonder what type of information, like imagine if you found like the next Socrates just on a railway car eating beans with one sock on. Like I bet you that guy has so much wisdom to give you, but then you got to balance it
Why
out like
not?
Alex Jones. You got to cut the line off when he starts getting into like the conspiracy territory. He'll be like, life's all has its ins and its outs, its motions and flows, but as long as you stay with the tide, you'll be above it. And I'm like, whoa, that's a really
Yeah,
good
that's
quote.
deep.
And
Good,
then
good job, dude.
then he goes, the fucking aliens coming all over the place. She's like, oh, that's where the insane part is.
He's a manic bipolar personality disorder or something to that effect, Just listen to him when he's cogent.
Just listen to it. He pops in the on seminar. I was like, what do you do for a day job? Well, I'm a motivational speaker. I'm like, who do you speak to? And he has like an army of rats that just come out. And he goes, you are bigger as people, or you're bigger
You
together
are
than
my
you
flock. Shimi, get over here.
are.
Alex,
Oh,
stop running. Get in line.
Jesus. What else has
He
been going on in
then
the
he puts
realm
on
of
a suit and
Jason?
tie and goes to his job or something,
What else has been going on in the realm of Jason? We haven't talked in a little bit.
Gosh,
Well,
so
actually, we
just
talk all the
busy and
time. I just haven't had a podcast
busy
with
and
you.
busy and beat down. Man, I've got so many ideas for podcasts and I just have no time to do it in.
Stop
Although I have
creating
been watching a lot of stuff.
podcasts, man. Why are you creating more when you got to create episodes for the ones that you have?
No, I just have ideas. Like that's it. They sit on the ground floor. I write them down. I go, man, that's a killer idea.
Dude,
Oh,
why
that's
don't
a good
wait, hold on,
idea for
hold
a
on.
parody song or
This is
something. And it
perfect
sits
for you.
there.
Do a show about possible shows.
A show about shows I could
Yeah,
create
that's
and
mixed
just
media
create a
for
different
us,
show
right?
every time.
Instead of talking
Yeah.
about actual content that's out there, just talk about ideas that you have. Like each episode is a step inside of your mind and just have it. Like we all have thoughts. I think that sometimes you write stuff down. And I think you got to find where that creative effort is, man. At 2 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning, I was in my room making a scene for this film. I just grabbed a flashlight, shut all the curtains, everything. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, so it's night out. I grabbed my little sailor guy that I said I was going to put in my film. He's a wood carving of a sea captain. And I just put him in front of the flashlight, but I had a shadow. I just took a video of a shadow and then I took my vape and I blew smoke. So it looks like fog coming in.
Nice.
So it's like you just got to
Yeah.
find ways to be creative, whether that's
Hell
creative
yeah.
inspiration and motivation or whether that's creative inspiration, people put it towards comedy. I don't know. But I think that if you made a show where it was just each episode was stepping into like maybe a thought, you have to have good thoughts throughout the day where you're like, I bet if you look at your dash cam footage,
Mhm.
there's just rants of you saying like, imagine if aliens
No.
and just going
No,
off.
I don't save that stuff. That's loony stuff. That's my ADHD brain going crazy in the car. The car is my like no limit space. I say all kinds of weird stuff in the car. I would be censored in a heartbeat and doxxed, and they'd come and shut me down.
I want to hear
I
what would get you doxxed.
I spout anything in the car. I have no problem spouting the na words,
Whoa,
whatever,
whoa, whoa.
anything, just any of that stuff. It's in my car. My windows are up, and I'll say whatever I want. And if there's an explicit ass rap song on, then I'm gonna rap along with it. I'm not missing words. I'm in the flow.
You're actually doing a
And just
disservice if you do miss words.
That's right. That's right. It's the weird thing is that I went to karaoke for years and I did a lot of rap songs. I love rapping on stage. It's awesome. And in all of those rap songs that had it, always included it. No one ever said anything. I did it with bunches of black people out in the crowd. Nobody ever said anything to me about it. I think it's just a respect. I'm giving the song its respect. I'm saying all the words, I'm saying them correctly, and that's it. Now, if the song said some, horrible something, then I'm not going to say that, like if it was, some racist thing or something, just outright. But like, there's a lot of songs where they throw that in, Riding Dirty's got like 6 N-words in it,
See,
and you gotta
I'm
like,
glad you said that
and I
song.
like doing
Hold
that
on.
song though.
I'm glad you said that song because I cannot. I knew White and Nerdy before Riding Dirty. So now when I hear Riding Dirty, I want to sing the lyrics for White and
I know
Nerdy.
I
And I'm
get
like,
the two mixed up now when I listen to him.
dude, people don't give enough credit to Weird Al. That man's a genius.
He's awesome, and look at his flow. He rapped along with that song. That's a good intricate rap.
He was so cool that Paul Rudd dressed up as him for Halloween.
Hell yeah. I dress up as Paul Rudd for Halloween. I think he's so cool. It's timeless. Timeless.
He's ageless. That's what it is.
It's crazy.
I really like
Yeah.
it though, like because I think when you see a good deed done by an actor, I think a lot of people expect it for them to do something like that. But I'm like, when you get the Captain America shield signed by every single person that's involved in the film, and then you just give it away for a Make-A-Wish
Mhm.
thing, I know
Yeah.
it can be a publicity stunt, but there's a lot of people doing great things that they don't ever
Mhm.
talk about, and I find so much respect for that.
Yeah, I did too. And it's the little things. I mean, they don't have to do everything, but I like to know that there are people out there doing good things.
Why? Why? I'd rather not know.
Eh, I just like to know that they're doing it. I don't care for the details. I just like to know that, there are people out there trying to make a difference.
It's like
I
hold
try to
on.
be positive throughout my day.
It's like every day you're waiting for the bus, and every day you get on the bus, it's the same driver, and he always says good morning, and then you put your money in the thing, and then you walk past him, and then you go and sit down, and then the one day the bus is a little bit late, you're like, what's going on? I'm going to miss my appointment. Guy shows up, doors open up, it's different driver. You get on the bus, the guy doesn't say a single word to you. Now you just realize that that small little thing was a big increase for your entire day.
Yeah, true. True that. Then you'll be like, man, if only I'd said something to that bus driver guy.
I doubt you don't even know his name. You just probably be like,
No,
where's his
I don't
funeral?
know. And honestly, I haven't rode the bus since I was a teenager.
You'd go,
Buses are for poor people.
you I like the city bus sometimes.
uh,
Mostly like I've been on a couple of times, like during the summer, like before I mean, it
yeah.
was a long time ago before I could drive, and I was just trying to hang out with my friends and stuff. It was always so jam packed, but now you don't know. Like if you see so many TikTok videos of people on subways, you could accidentally be in one of those famous TikToks that get like 1 million views. And then you get to use that on your resume. Like I
Maybe,
was in a
yeah.
TikTok with 80
Yeah,
million
but
views.
like you could be in the TikTok where the lady's hanging upside down from the pole, putting her puss in everyone's face. You could be one of those poor guys that gets it in your face. So you got to be careful too.
What fucking algorithm do you have? I don't see
I
those
don't know. I've
things.
seen ones like that before.
I always see people doing
Mostly in
stupid hat
subway
flip
cars, I
tricks.
see people hang on the bar and then they try to put their legs up like a gymnast, but then they're not a gymnast. And so they just fall on their back in the middle of the subway car.
Oh,
Those are hilarious.
it's like those parkour videos I was watching a couple. Then they had one, I think it was like, I forgot what country it was. It was not in the United States, and it was not like Australia or the UK. It was like in like China or something like that. But a person was hanging from a crane, and like they had to do like, like how you would do pull-ups. He was doing pull-ups, and he's like, I mean, over like a skyscraper, like if you fall, you're dead. And then he does one, he does two, and you can see he struggles on the third. And then he goes to do the fourth, and he just stops, and then he realizes he's about to fall, and everyone's just filming it, and then he lets go and just falls, and he's dead.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my god, like
That's horrible.
I'm not surprised. Like I thought it was fake at first, but then I realized like, oh shit, like that's an actual person that fell off of a crane.
Yeah.
um you see videos like that all the time now, like
Yeah,
actually.
you got to figure for all of those videos that you see people walking on ledges on these 100-story skyscrapers and stuff, people jumping from ledge to ledge and stuff. You got to figure that every once in a while one of these people doesn't make it.
Well, I mean, that influencer that was on that cliff that ended up falling off and dying, like,
Yep.
what would you do for the gram? What would you do for TikTok?
Not that.
That's a weird thing though. Like nobody expected that people would do the most outrageous stuff. Like it's weird. Every time I'm in a store now, I'm like, I wonder if someone's just going to do something random for a TikTok video, because it happens a lot now.
And also no consideration for whoever's down below them too. Do you really want to get splattered with some dude's guts that fell 100 stories?
If
It
I
doesn't
have
sound fun to me.
if I have like a random outburst or anything and people are like, what did you just do? I'm like, oh, it's for a TikTok. You're like, okay. And they walk away.
And there are people that have died also having people fall on them. What if you were that just walking down the street and splat? You die because some
Oh, you're still
fool wanted
thinking
to kill
about the
himself
person
or some
falling off the
idiot
crane.
was playing around on the edge of a building. Fuck
God.
that. I don't want to die because of some idiot.
Imagine if you lived off of jumping off of a building, you landed on like two people, one going to a CEO meeting, the other one going to a bed and breakfast, and you fucking killed them, and then you're in a fucking hospital bed with a whistle for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and all you got's like a little bit of a stiff neck and back from the whole ordeal.
Because if you weren't going to hell for killing yourself, you're going to hell for fucking landing on two people and killing them.
You're like halfway down, you're like, God save me, and you fall and crush two people to death, but you live.
He works in mysterious ways.
I've repented for my sins.
You know, that day, those two people that you landed on were having like a really shitty fucking day. That's why I think it's like there are
I
moments
think
though.
any day you get killed out of the blue, just that's a shitty day.
Well, there's moments where like there's miracles that happen, but I also feel like there's moments where it's like death is imminent. So like whenever a whole bunch of things go right for me, I'm like, I better just like stay inside the house for the rest of the day because something bad's about to fucking happen.
Yeah, bad things tend to happen in clusters too.
Like
I've noticed that.
remember when I don't know if you heard about this because I think it was either our news or someone else's news, but it was the giant Powerball. There was a winner for the giant Powerball that was like a couple of years ago, and I think it was
Mhm.
in a state beside me or in my state, but there were people that were trying to fight that person and get that ticket. It was like the movie Friday where everyone was
Yeah.
trying to get the like the wing. Was it Friday? What movie was it? No,
Mhm.
it's another movie. There's a
Something
lot
with a
that
winning lottery ticket.
yeah, the dude won a lottery ticket, and then everyone was trying to like, hey man, remember me? It's like, no, you never fucking talked to me. But then everyone started trying to rob him for his ticket and stuff like that. But that happened down here. Like a bunch of people were going crazy because it was like 3 point something billion dollars that was on the line. And I'm like,
Yeah, that is ridiculous. People would kill people for way less than that.
well, as a father, you should prime the importance of trying to teach your kid the weird parts about society and why you should trust it, but also why you shouldn't trust it. Like, I never, like, people always have the best expectations in people. I just don't
Mhm.
set a bar for if someone can fuck something up. And also, if I don't expect them to do things for me, you know what I mean? But we're in a weird
Yeah,
society where we've literally profited off of when you see the numbers get put up on the thing. You have people that spend every single day waiting in line, picking a number. They do it every single day to make sure they can possibly have the chance of getting that winning ticket. Playing the numbers is a giant thing back in the day. It's still a giant thing
hmm,
today. But when you see the $3.2 billion on top of the board and lets everybody know that there's $3.2 billion on the line,
that's
doesn't
insane.
you better hide that fucking ticket and make sure you don't
Yeah,
say a
right.
damn word until you can cash it.
Yeah, because someone could just silently take you out, take your ticket, be like, "Oh yeah, I bought it at the minute market over here."
So that's where it started then, because I don't think like
But they do keep records of that stuff.
would you be comfortable walking into like a random place and being like, I just won the Powerball? Would you be comfortable saying that?
No, I think if it was anything big, I would just go directly to the lottery commission.
Well,
It
what I
just seems safer.
yeah, that's the thing though, is like you wouldn't tell anybody that you won. I wouldn't even think I would tell my family just on an aspect. They don't know if they can keep their mouth shut on some aspects. I was like, I'd rather just me hold the secret and go.
Yeah.
That's what scares me about like when people are playing on their birthday and they get
And
like
I
a
sold a lot of lottery. They do have things like some of them have a thing like where if you win so much, they have to have you they have to film you and do a thing with you at the store and stuff. And then others are more for your privacy and will say, would you like us to feature you or would you like to just kind of stay out of the public view? But what I do is I'd go to the lottery commission and then like I would take like several grand down to the store and just be like, hey, everybody, you guys, I won a big lottery. Thank you so much. Here's some money for the store. Here's, a big fatty tip for all you people that are working today. Thanks so much. Make sure whoever sold me the ticket got hooked up big and just be like, thank you, and everybody at the store would think I was awesome.
but because it was just like that game show where the contestant was going on, it was like blind date or blind lover or secret lover or something like that. And the guy was like, well, there's been someone here that's been, I guess catfishing them, but is really in love with you. And here they are. And it shows them. And it was like a guy. It was a trans person at the time, but they didn't
Mhm.
know, like that wasn't a big thing a couple of years ago. Like we were talking about how the context of me 3 years ago compared to now, I think I mean, let me get my example out and then I'll ask you this question.
All
I
right.
got so much going on in my head. But that person ended up after that game show being he felt embarrassed, but it was just someone saying that he loved the guy, even though he didn't love him back. Went to the dude's house and shot him. You
Oh
know,
yeah, that was a Maury Povich episode.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was a somebody's got a secret crush on you, and it
yeah,
ended up being a buddy of his.
so,
And like the buddy was, like I love you, and then the dude just couldn't handle it.
yeah. So like you got to be very careful with, especially if you win the lottery and all, because now people will just do something crazy
Yeah,
just because. I mean, if you
I got a third of $1 million from my grandpa when he passed away, and well, that's it's only 300. It was like 375,000,
that's a
something like
lot.
that. And oh yeah, every single member of my family, even the ones that I didn't know, came out of the woodwork. Everybody showed up. People that I'd never seen before were just like, "Hey, cousin, buddy," and it was weird. It was surreal. Worst thing though, it was with my ex, and she just kind of helped me spend it all down to nothing, bought a house and everything. Then when I left, she stayed in the house, held on to it like a ransom until the bank finally foreclosed on the house and took it. So out of all that money, I have none.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Easy come, easy go. It was
I'm
free money basically.
I could literally live off that for the rest of my entire life.
Oh, I know. I wanted to start up a business and all kinds of stuff, but it just it wasn't meant to be. I
If I
wasn't with
had a
the
lot
right
of
person.
money, I would help my friends, but at the same time, I would just help people. But also, I feel like I just wouldn't spend any more than I'm really doing now. I would just get
Yeah, I did
myself a
that a lot.
comfortable home and just because I would live because even seeing any amount of money come out of a bank account, it just fucking I gets fear stricken into my heart because like what happens if an emergency happens? I paid freaking what $180 because my check engine light was on after just paying $700 to get new calipers and shit all over it. My check engine light came on.
Mm-hmm.
So I drove all the way up to fucking basically a state away, or not really a state away, but like 45 minutes away. All the way up there to go take it to the car dealership. As soon as I hit the parking lot, I mean, as soon as I hit the curb to go up into the freaking thing, the check engine light goes off. And I'm like, well, fuck me.
You
So,
need to get one of those readers. Get
well,
one of those little readers you can put in yourself.
so I go into the place and I was like, hey, my check engine light's on. She's like, okay, I'll help you out. You want a service? We're going to check it, do a diagnostic test. Is around 80, $150, something like that. And then plus anything that goes on afterwards. We'll make sure it's
Yeah.
fully inspected. I'm like, you know what? The light just came off though. And she's like, well, why don't you take it home? And if it comes back on, come back. Or you could be on the safe side because it could just pop right back on. I'm like, then I got convinced. I was like, fuck it. Then I let him do it. But it was like, oh, we don't know what's wrong with it. I was like, well, what the fuck? I'm $180 in the fucking hole now.
All right. Let me save you money for next time, my dude. Go to an AutoZone and ask them to check your codes. That's all you got to do. Go to an AutoZone, ask them if they can check your codes. They'll plug in their little machine to your dash. They'll read your codes. They'll print up a printout, and it'll tell you in the printout what the possible things that could be wrong with your car.
I did that, and they told me to go to the dealership because they couldn't find anything wrong.
Yeah, then there probably wasn't anything, and you're just throwing a code. Old engines can do that because they get gunked up. I just recently had to replace both of my catalytic converters on my car.
Jesus
It was
Christ.
expensive as fuck. I think it ended up being a little over $1,200
Fuck
for
me.
both of them,
That's
and to
yeah,
put it in.
they're not cheap. That's why people steal them.
But my engine light was on like almost constantly, and that's what it was. Now it's off. Now it comes on every once in a while just to be like, hey, remember me?
It's a weird
And
thing
then
of
it'll go away. So I'm like, all right, if you're not going to stay on, there ain't a problem.
it's weird thing about our minds that Christmas lights make you happy, but when you see those lights in your fucking car go up, you fucking freak out, man. You have those little panic attacks.
Every time, because I'm like, oh, what did I do? I just checked the oil. What's going
Well, I
on?
was telling him, I
Like,
was like, my car does not stop when I hit the brakes. Sometimes it'll like sounds like it's gripping, but it's not working. Like it'll scratch. And I'm like, something's got to be fixed. She goes, well, we didn't see anything wrong with it. So it only happens when I do it. So I'm like, all right, I'm schizophrenic. If I get into a car accident, just fucking know I warned you.
that is scary. That's not good at all. Something in your lines. Maybe you got maybe a bubble in the line or something.
I bet you as soon as I hit like 999 episodes, it's just gonna car crash dead. I'm like, that leaves it up to
Oh no.
either you or any
You'll
of my
never
other
hit your 1,000.
that's what I'm saying is like it leaves it up to you or any of my other friends to try and find out what my password is and then fucking make an episode exactly how I would make an episode.
Oh wow, how could I find your password? That'd be the hard part.
Just hack it.
I did a karaoke Big E episode, but he posted it up, so I didn't have to do all the odds and end work. I just had to do the recording.
But this was you just. I mean, passwords get hacked all the time. So if they can just
True,
find a
but
way to
I'm,
hack
I'm
in
not
there,
much of a hacker. I'm
get
really
some
bad.
help.
Like I was always the kid that like how your mom sets a password and it's like something so stupid and easy. I was the kid that could never figure that crap out. And I would be like, what is this? And then later my sister would be like, dude, it's just her birth date. And it's like, why?
I was
Why
listening
was it
to
so easy?
I was listening to Bezos before he became what he is now, like in the beginning parts, and he was talking about when he was first dealing with like stuff from like people from overseas dealing with Amazon. The people were like, the $200 for the thing is in the floppy disk. And he goes, in the floppy disk. So he's putting the floppy disk in the computer, and he's like, there's no $200 in here. They legit put $200 folded up really, really thin inside of the floppy disk, like literally inside the floppy disk. And he goes, why did they do
That's
that?
hilarious.
On the note, it said that the people in customs will take any money when it's going through these transactions, but they don't read English, so they can't read this note. And that's what the thing is. And it's like, I was wondering, I was like, man, that's weird, because a lot of people will be like, wow, that's, thank God I don't live over there. You know how much money I might ship in a package? I'm like, does anybody remember?
Mhm.
Like, there are people that just get a job at UPS or FedEx specifically for Black Friday deals, specifically for Christmas, also they can go through your stuff and take your money out of it.
Yeah, they had Black Friday already. It's the weirdest crap.
They did it a
Like
week
they
early. It's
had
a good
Black
thing.
Friday a week early. Yeah,
That's
my
good.
Jamie just bought a PS5 for her sister because she couldn't get a hold of one, and like, yeah, we went through Walmart and stuff, and Jamie got Walmart Plus, so now we get free delivery of groceries for the next month, which is kind of nice. I do like that. But yeah, she had a heck of a time getting one, and man, like it was so weird that it sucks that they're offering Black Friday deals that are so great. But now they add this new twist to it where you have to purchase like Walmart Plus or whatever store you're going through. You have to purchase their special online account or whatever so that you can go and do this Black Friday stuff, or else you get put back in this queue behind everyone else that buys it and they get all the stuff and you don't.
I actually was happy that they did Black Friday early, only because I was tired of seeing videos of someone punching someone's grandma for a flat inch TV. Like,
Yeah,
it's
true.
very weird how society, like, everything that's supposed to be like, it's a show. It's supposed to rile people up to get more
Yeah.
money. It's like, God damn it. It looks so awful now because it's been just draining on our system. It's like when I used to
Yeah,
work at the
it's
casino.
jarring to have a nice Thanksgiving and then the next day watch the news and see all these people punching each other in the face over a TV.
Well, it's like I worked at a casino and it was just difficult to watch. Like, these people didn't start out there spending their whole day in a casino. And now they're like, what, 10 years, 15 years in, and this is all they do now. It's their whole entire life. How much money have they
Mhm.
wasted? You ask them how much money they put into these machines, they'll say like close to $1 million, man. You're like, dude, how long was that over? It's like, but that was over like 8 years. It's like, yeah, but in 8 years, you
Yeah,
could have
imagine if you
that
had that
much.
money,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I love and hate casinos for that reason. I love them because I love the flashing lights and the sounds and the I love it when you hit big on a jack, hit a big jackpot and all the bells and whistles and you get all the cool animations and stuff and you're boom 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 win in here win in there and it makes you so happy because that huge dopamine rush and stuff. I love that, but at the same time, I don't like it when I go and play for an hour and I'm down $150. And I'm like, I could have just, I could have gone out to a really good meal and bought a nice bottle of booze or something. Like, I haven't bought a bottle of booze in forever, but I'm saying, I would have been able to buy some nice stuff for the kids or whatever. And I still would have had change in my pocket. And instead, I went to the casino for an hour.
I understand the gambling thing though, because I had my buddy Alan who was on like one of the beginnings. I think he was like episode 50 something. I don't know. But he was gambling a lot and he was losing like hundreds of dollars every week. And during that episode, I just go, why are you doing that though? Like, you're wasting money. Do you actually win anything? Not even a week later,
Oh, yeah.
he won a fucking Benz or something.
Yeah, I heard about that one. That was actually one of your really, really early episodes. You were talking about that one. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I've
he
stayed
won.
consistent through 1,000 though. Like I'm like the same
Yeah,
person
I
practically, but
say
just smarter.
seriously, as I listened to the first, I'm almost up to 50 now. And yeah, I mean, you're you still a little less
You get
worried
pretentious.
by all the information that you've obtained over the 1,000 episodes, you know, a little more fresh faced, a little more, you know, I mean, you weren't inexperienced. You've always been a good talker. Maybe not as much with the flow of conversation as you are now. But other than that, like, I mean, you're you still. You're learning. You're talking to all sorts of people and stuff, and having a good time and hearing other people's opinions and stuff.
So
It's good.
you'll be the deciding factor. If you saw my evolution from the beginning to where I'm at now, compared to maybe another 1,000, let's say I've hit the 2,000 mark. You think I'll be too much? Do you think I'll just be like
Oh
insane?
man, I don't know, man. I think another 1,000 with the wear and tear that you've taken in this first 1,000. Oh my gosh, you might end up being like crazy conspiracy nut or something. You'll be Alex Jones by
I
2000.
I
You know,
attribute it to
they're
like
turning the frogs gay. I'm telling you, they're turning the frogs gay. And,
I bet
you
you like
know,
the next 1,000
the
is just
reptilian overlords will continue to drink the baby's blood.
oh, I
They
just
live in the underground catacombs with the skinwalkers. Get it straight, people.
well, I think like especially in that short amount of time, just with talking with so many people, I'm not saying it's a really like trying to be egotistical here. I'm just looking at it like I've been understanding Dr. Manhattan a little bit more. I've used this example a couple of times, mostly like the giant blue guy. He didn't give a fuck about anybody that was alive, even though he was once human. But I think it's because he didn't like he understood that there was more beyond what people know now, and I think
He
everyone only
was
sees the
even
problem in front of them.
past clothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't get over the blue dongle, man. Like
It was one quick scene of it. You never saw it throughout the rest of the movie. Most of the time you saw his ass.
they had to do that. They didn't want to show his dongle the whole time.
It's
You
like
wouldn't be able to pay attention to the scene. You'd be like, whoa.
fuck. Well,
uh
one episode without
no,
talking
I
about
see what you're
kids.
saying. What you're saying is that, like, man, like all the points of view that you've had conversations with, all the different people that you've had conversations with, you know, like you could see things from so many different points of view now because you've collected all these different points of view as you've gone.
And I'm not better or smarter than anybody else. I just think I
No.
understand that there's more out there than what it is. It's kind of like if you lived in a dome and then you broke the dome and realized there's more than just the dome. Like I just realized that, especially an existential crisis in a way,
Mm-hmm.
is that there's so much out there you're never going to know it all. And I think that's kind of what's important because I think that you start to understand why people think the way they do is necessarily because they can't think differently, because not that they just don't know that there's more, just because that keeps their sanity. And even though as insane as we might see a Karen or someone on a video, you got to understand it's like their world is probably shattered around them. And it's not like
Mm-hmm.
me blaming them or me saying that they're the ones that's the issue. It's like, but this is where their comfort is. And now you're attacking their comfort. Like that's a very fucking sketchy thing for a lot of people to try and handle. It's like if I went into your life and try to take something that you really love away, that you can't, I can't have you do this anymore, Jason. You're like, but I love, you can never listen to podcasts again. The only
Oh,
time
God.
that's acceptable is if it's like God taking away your hearing. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only time it's acceptable. But when someone who's not of like etherealness, which is why I related to Dr. Manhattan, if someone's not like has some type of superpower or advanced in any way, then them taking something away from you, you're not going to stand for it.
True that. True that. Yeah, I like where it's headed. But I do wish that I had as much insight as you have when I was your age, because man, I think that's going to really help you in life. No matter what you end up doing, if you quit at 1,000, if you keep going, if you go off and make films or whatever you decide, you become the next Bob Ross, whatever. You know, I think that you've got so much insight from all this that it's really going to help you along.
What happens if I just like, I don't know,
I
Lock my
said follow your dreams. I didn't
maybe my
say
dream is to be
I
locked
can't
in a
make your
pyramid
dream
for all
for
time.
you.
I would
Yeah,
take the
you could
offer,
sit
like
in a room for 20 years and eat crackers for all I care, but follow your dreams if that's what you want to do.
that's a fucking sad life, eating crackers and like fucking
That's an old John Mulaney joke.
um I just I think there's always that offer, like when I think you age throughout, I guess from what your age you're at now, from when you're young, you probably think way differently than you did when you were younger. You're probably more about this, more about that. Um, but imagine if the offer was
Pretty
extended to you
childish still.
But imagine if the offer was extended to you that the great fucking library of Alexandria, where all the books were burned, imagine if that just was still a thing and you could just spend all your time in there and just really absorb the knowledge of it. I think I would choose that rather than go and like have fast cars and billions of dollars, mostly because like if you can just live and learn every single time, the issue is that you wouldn't be able to share it with anybody. So then you would
You
just be
wouldn't be
keeping
able
all the
to read
power to
half of it
yourself.
either.
Well, you have infinite time. You'd be locked in like what
Oh,
underwater
I
would be like.
see. Well, you would be able to find out if there were civilizations before ours too. That would be kind of cool. Because I feel like there have been full civilizations. I feel like we've gotten to this point or almost to this point in technology before.
I think it's a
But
loop.
then we had an ice age that destroyed all evidence of it.
That's the Younger
And
Dryas theory, which is that the Earth
mhm,
resets, and I think that is possibility. I mean, maybe this is the farthest we've gotten into the timeline, and maybe that's why aliens are coming down to say hi.
look how quickly we've evolved just in the last 500 years. Look how far we've gone, and the world has been here for so long, and humans have been on the earth for, gosh, I mean, they're saying actual, like, we are humans have been around for, now they're going back as far as like 400,000 years and stuff. And some people even said as far as like 8. And so, if that's the case, like, how many times could we have built up civilization and then had a, mass coronal ejection destroys everything, or a series of earthquakes, causes tidal waves and destroys another ice age comes through. There's supposed to be an ice age every 10,000, 30,000 years. Ice age wipes out everything.
Well, I've been getting back into the realm of like paleontology. I've been finding a lot of interest in that, mostly because there's this guy that I read on or kind of heard, listened to again. His name's Travis
That
something,
stuff's fascinating.
but he was in way early at the beginning of Joe Rogan, like 800 episodes or something like that. I just followed him
Mhm.
recently on and Twitter. He's like the angry paleontologist or something. But he
I
uses
think I
like
have heard.
he uses like verbal or like very vulgar language. So it's kind of like my speak. I like to hear cursing and stuff. But he's
I
like
know.
trying to disable the theories about dinosaurs not being real and talking about all these types of things. And I've heard people say that isn't real, like the evolutionary, like we didn't come from apes. And he goes, "No, you're a fucking idiot if you don't think we evolved from something." And I'm like, listen to him, like, I thought that was like a conspiracy because I remember I thought it was normal. Then people told me it was a
Mhm.
conspiracy. And then you realize those people might have just been religious. And it's like,
Yeah, churches have been shutting that stuff down for centuries now. Yeah.
but I mean, if our mouths have evolved. Like hearing Brett Weinstein talk about evolutionary biology and talking about, does it sound normal when someone says you have too much teeth, you have too many teeth for your mouth? He goes, does that sound fucking normal? He goes, it's your diet. The diet of society has been so much on processed foods that now your mouth has
Hmm.
gotten smaller. Our fucking taint sizes have shrunk. That's how
You're not grinding
society.
your teeth down anymore
Well,
on hard breads and grains and stuff.
our fertility count has dropped because and that's leading to smaller and smaller taint sizes. And it's like you start to realize it's like the evolutionary chain. I saw a video of like it was like 19 whatever whenever we went to the moon for the first
And
time.
they showed all your taint sizes through the years. Is that what that showed?
Oh.
I'm kidding.
So in 1950 or 1950 or 19 something, whenever we hit
Mhm.
the moon, do you know when we landed on the moon? Apparently
63, something like that.
it was like a bunch of aliens and they were like, oh my God, they just made it into space. Well, the earthlings made it to space. Well, I bet in about 10 years they'll discover this, in 20 years they'll discover that, in about 50 years they'll
Hmm.
have immortality. Then it's like, well, we'll just come back in 50 years when they're immortal. They come back, it's like 2021 and everyone's like TikToking and doing all this type of stuff. He goes, what did you guys are immortal yet? What? It's like, what is that?
Oh,
You
they've gone
sac
stupid.
It's like you sacrificed your immortality for social media. It's like, yeah. He goes, that doesn't seem like it was worth it.
True. I hate
think
it so much.
think where we would be if we didn't have social media.
I don't even go on Facebook anymore. The last time I was on Facebook, I had like 150 notifications and I went, I don't care.
I
It's
wish,
just everybody fighting with everybody else
yeah,
on there.
I just
That's
wish
all
this.
anyone wants to do.
I wish society, like, if we had time travel, if there is that capability of that, I would love to go back to just Tesla's laboratory. I used to want to go back and see Da Vinci, but now I'm starting to learn more about
Yeah.
Tesla. Did you know he almost destroyed his whole entire home and his laboratory all because of an earthquake machine that he was
Mm,
creating? I was like, this guy was on top of something. The whole reason we have
no, and then
electricity is that AC current shit.
the poor fucker dies penniless for all of the stuff that he created. Just God, he was such a genius.
What do you think he was a genius, or do you think someone gave him those sites?
No, I think that he was just one of those people that's like a little bit above everyone else. I
Every
think they're
villain
just
has an origin
outliers.
story, man. Every villain has an origin story. That
He's
dude,
not the villain. The villain was
th-
Alexander Graham Bell for
I don't,
stealing his
I
shit.
know. I don't think he was a bad, like, he wanted to, like, the good things that he wanted to do was he wanted to make radio free. He wanted to make
Mhm.
all this type of stuff.
He
He
wanted
wouldn't
to
have
make
to,
energy free too. You
yeah,
could get all your power from the air.
yeah, but he had a thing for a death ray where I was like, he was
Mhm.
doing a lot of good, but then he was balancing it out with the bad, where I just wonder when the
He wanted
snap
to try
happened.
all
Yeah,
factors of stuff.
but was it a mental health thing? Like, did any, like, he married a pigeon, but I'm wondering if it's just all those good ideas that he had in his head where he didn't know where to draw the line. Like, eventually, I think through the 1,000 episodes, I noticed more like when you can add comedic stuff or just be who you are. Before, I was too focused on what people might listen and hear.
Mhm.
Now I'm more about just being myself. I think with him, he's tried so much times making like good, like super beneficial ideas to society to
Mhm.
get their attention. And then he didn't know where the line was supposed to be drawn. So he started getting into some weird shit, like making a death ray where I'm like,
Well, maybe he thought that, to have a beneficial society, you also have to be able to defend your beneficial society. Maybe that was why he was doing the death ray. I mean, you need to have some form of protection.
maybe it was
And a death ray
aliens.
sounds badass.
Maybe it
Or
was
maybe he was
aliens.
worried about aliens and he had the death ray in case they decide to come down and mess with
Well,
us.
maybe they projected these visions into his head. Like all
Oh, I see.
well, what makes these goddamn people so damn successful throughout history where they're the the outcasts of society
That's
at in
true.
their
That's
time.
true. There are very few Da Vinci's and Teslas and Einsteins and stuff out there. Very few.
Like,
True.
did their mother drink chlorine when they were pregnant or something? Like, I have no clue how they got these envisions into their head. But if that's a
That's the
baby
nature
formula that you
versus
can
nurture
buy,
argument, but just I mean, some people are just born with their brains wired the correct way for them to be genius level. Just a random occurrence. Just it's how
I
how
don't
that brain wired itself up.
I don't accept that answer.
Hey, speaking of Nikola Tesla, have you listened to the Trevor Moore song, Nikola Tesla?
No.
You should listen to it. It's
I
really
don't want
great.
to talk
It's
about
him.
Trevor. I really
He's
don't.
talking
I don't.
about he
Stop.
talks about
Stop.
Nikola
Stop. You're
Tesla
making me
and all
sad.
of his achievements. And then he says, but despite of all of his achievements, all these people are on YouTube making millions of dollars because they have a webcam and they can pull pranks on their kids or read in funny voices and stuff. And it's hilarious and it's super good. It's really poignant.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Listen to
weird.
Trevor Moore's work. I've been
I'm
listening to his songs. They're
I'm not no
outrageously good.
no more. No more.
They're so good.
I know.
Rest in peace.
Yes, thank you. I don't
Yeah.
want to hear
Rest
about
in
him or
peace,
Norm Macdonald,
Trevor. We
please. No
love you.
more.
And Norm Macdonald too,
Stop.
man.
Stop.
I can never watch.
Jason.
I can never watch
Jason.
Vampire Dog
I
again
will
the
mute
same.
you. I can do that. You're touching some sensitive subjects. A lot of
I
people
have to
didn't
watch
care about these
Vampire
people.
Dog though. My little girl won't let me not watch Vampire Dog. I can't help it.
I don't know what
She
Vampire
loves
Dog
that
is.
he eats cherry jelly.
I never watched Vampire Dog.
It's Norm Macdonald voices
I
this
just
small
started getting
dog
into anime again.
that's a vampire. And his owner dies and sends it to his grandson who lives in California, this vampire dog, and it talks to him and it eats cherry jelly. That's what it lives on.
I mean, it
I
sounds
don't know.
terrible, but
Maybe Norm was hard up for money at the time.
well, I mean, dude, I think there needs to be more shit out there. Not like shit as in more content. I just think there needs to be more horribly bad, but it's so bad it's good movies out there. Like there's not a
I
lot of
love
like,
those movies.
do you remember $1 billion movie where at the ending the guy who spent $1 billion to these people to make this movie, he gets up and goes, what the fuck was this? Because it was like you need stuff like that. Like it's just about having fun and
Mhm,
creating something different, but everything's got to be like, we need a Michael Bay cast, we need an amazing thing. I'm like, no,
mhm.
just have a bunch of shit in one where people expect too damn much. And I'm like, they don't get enough in their life. So why would they expect it in a movie? Like, I don't get shit. So I'm just like, fuck it. I will watch anything. Usually it's the first couple of minutes that hooks you in, but
Mhm.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of like people saying a lot of people inserting opinions rather than just like enjoying what it
Mm.
is. I have opinions on a lot of shit, but you know what? I just keep it to myself a lot of times besides voicing it on a giant platform. Um,
That was kind of contradictory, huh?
yeah.
I keep it to myself, but I also tell everybody,
But fuck
everybody they can hear me on
I,
all podcast listeners.
Spotify, Apple. No, I'm just kidding. But I just think like my thoughts, for instance, I'm like I've seen a lot of work, good and bad, but I think it's all good in a sense. It's just about who does it resonate with.
I love hilariously bad movies though. They're awesome. Have you seen the Evil Bong movies?
Yeah, which Tommy Chong.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 of them, and they're all super good. I watched the Evil Bong versus the Ginger Dead Man a while back. So good. Just
Just the
hilariously
it's
good.
like when I
Such a
watched
bad movie, but so funny.
it's like when I watched Zombie Strippers. I was like, I don't know why I thought it was going to be a good movie to watch, but it was fucking awful.
Right? With the title, and how could this not be a blockbuster?
It's like strippers, but it's like you're forgetting the zombie parts. Like that's not what matters about the title of this film. They're
Well, you're
strippers.
not supposed to touch the strippers anyway, so it's okay.
That's what's got to be on my bucket list is going to a strip club.
I know you need to live here, man. There are more strip clubs per capita in Portland than anywhere in the United States. Full nude,
I don't know if
full nude.
I
They
wouldn't
get up
survive
there, they
there.
spread everything in front of you and stuff. It's intense. Me, I'm not a huge fan of it.
That's
I go every once in a while, but
that's the that's the easiest prediction of someone aging through time is watching their first strip club entrance to their 500th strip club entrance where they're just like fuck it, hit her till she shits. It's like whoa, 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 whoa.
trying to throw coins in her gash and stuff. No, I mean, like it's just it's crazy too because there's a lot of strippers that are always just out and about everywhere. When you're in Portland, like they're all over the place. And you know the strippers because they're the ones walking around with the skirt all the way up to their vagina, and you know their boobs hanging out of like a teeny T top or something. And you're just like, yeah, totally strips.
Yeah, but how do you
It's just
know though?
it's not my scene.
Have you seen the bikinis that come out now? There was a girl that was testing on bikinis that are the new ones from like some Kimmy K collection or something like that, or Smiley K, I think her name was. But she had her actual like had an actual like gymnast suit
Mhm.
over or under the clothes that she was putting on. She was like, "You see this? This is not going to cover any of this. You see this? This
So
is
she's
basically
showing off the
cloth."
size of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's showing it, but that's a true thing though. It's like it's a weird point where before, like, I mean, a couple of years ago, there was a weird thing when I was like 15, 16 years old. It was like the age of like the hermit crab, and then the age of like when people were starting to wear like vulgar swimsuits, like less and less and less.
Yeah, they go in and out of style. They like those string swimsuits for a few years, and then they'll go out. They'll be too revealing, and they'll go out of style for a few, and then they'll come back. The problem with that stuff is that you can't like have any fun if you go to the beach or something while you're wearing a couple of strings, because you're never going to get that stuff to stay on. You can't even run it all.
Well, like
So all you can do is just go and lay in the sun in that thing, and that's it.
Well,
That's
back when
boring.
Arnold was bodybuilding, when he was like the first revolutionary person in bodybuilding, there was and I just saw a new video of him recently, and he just looks god awful. I mean, he looks the same, he's still muscular, but he's got the old man thing where the purple is coming in on the hairline, where it's like his hair's bruised from growing hair. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about? Okay.
yeah,
But I mean, back when
I
he was
do.
first doing, there was like they would work out outside. He was like a revolutionary person. Then there was a whole
Mhm.
period when I was growing up where it was all about like losing weight, all about this type of new fitness thing. And then now it never is fucking talked about. Like in the past 37 months, they have never suggested once to just get healthy.
Right? And that would help so many people. If it's going after people that are obese, how would that not help to get people out and exercising
I
and
think the
doing stuff?
shift of when diabetes hit like most of the population, or like instead, it's like herpes. 1 in 4 people have herpes.
Mhm.
It's like, well, now it's like 3 of 4 people that have diabetes. So it's like once that shift hit, they're like, all right, we can't fucking talk about it anymore.
So then you can just go down the conspiracy theory road and say maybe they like having so many people that have health problems, because the more people that you have health problems, the more people that you have going to the hospital and seeing doctors. And the healthcare industry continues to grow because you've got all these people with health problems. And right now, especially because we're hitting that boomer generation is all getting up there where they're starting to have health problems and stuff. And like there are more and more and more and more people that need help. So the healthcare system gets to grow and grow and grow and make money, make money off all these people. So why would they not want them to have underlying problems? Why would they not want them to be obese?
Yeah,
It just gets them more money that way.
it
If
was
they're
weird
healthy, they're not going to need anything.
when Biden was installing that mandate that everyone needs to be mandated on this. OSHA came out and said that's unconstitutional. You can't do that. Now, OSHA is workforce labor and all of that as well too. Tim
Mm-hmm.
Pool talked about this with Joe Rogan. Um, so I'm not trying to say that because then everyone's like, "Oh, you get your information from Joe Rogan. You can look it up."
No, but like I mean, there's a lot of that information gets eschewed through sources like Joe Rogan and stuff.
Yeah, but you can
And
look at.
it's one of those places where you'll get that kind of information
All right,
instead of trying to watch it on
we're
mainstream
testing
media.
the mute button. There we go. So he's talking. I'm kidding. I know you're not actually saying words. I'm unmuting you. I can't do that. This is a point of. I can't unmute you. You have to unmute yourself, Jamie. Jamie. There you go.
Jamie,
Um,
who
I'm
the
never
heck is?
doing that again.
Oh, I say Jamie on there, don't I?
Yeah. But with the OSHA thing, you can actually look it up. They do say that it is unconstitutional. So here's the thing: is this is where everyone should get a giant look through. They were saying that they're going to force this mandate that it's going to be required. Then OSHA says it's unconstitutional, it's against your rights. Now all he's doing is he's suggesting that you get it. Notice
Mm-hmm.
how your rights almost just got taken a fucking
Mm-hmm.
way from you. If people don't notice that shit and wake up to that shit, and I doubt anybody's heard that it was like that they're saying, oh, they're not doing it now. I bet people still
Yeah.
think are waiting for it to be implemented. I had messaged my buddy Justin, who's about to lose his job after 4 years
Mm-hmm.
because he's not choosing to get this thing and they're requiring that all state workers get it. I think you need to start understanding of like this is where the fucking you get dunked under the pool. It's kind of like when your priest is baptizing you and now they just don't let you up for fucking air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they don't tell you that they've lifted the mandate because they want everyone to think that there's still a mandate.
I just
And
there's a
I heard
power
something about
thing.
mandates too. I don't even remember where I heard it now, but mandates are like a strongly worded argument. You know, they're just like you should do this. We're saying that you should do this. That's all a mandate really is. They don't. There's no law put into order or anything. There's no, you know, nobody's sent out to make people do it. It's just someone standing there at a podium and saying, "We say to do this." That's it. That's as
Yep.
far as it goes.
But no politician will recommend getting healthy or losing weight, all in fear that they're not going to be able to be
Mm-hmm.
voted in again.
Yep.
It's a weird
Yeah,
time.
well, because especially with the sensitive people are now, you know, you say, "Well, too many people out there are obese," and people go, "Oh, you're fat shaming us. Oh, we're triggered." Yeah.
I don't think it's everyone like that. I think there's a lot of people that just I work in a
There
gym
are a
facility.
few.
I work in a gym facility and a lot of people are like are pro on trying to get healthy and stuff like that. I just think it's just a weird time because there's no new it's not profitable for news to talk about all the people that are doing it. It's profitable to talk about the people that
Mhm.
aren't doing it.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts to me, man.
No,
Start
and all these
questioning.
news places have stock in Pfizer, and all these hospitals have stock in Pfizer, and Disney has stock in Pfizer, and
Dude,
everybody has stock in Pfizer.
we're recording this before the Ghislaine Max trial, apparently. So I hope that gets fucking airtime because I want to see that as much as they fucking push that Rittenhouse thing, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I've
I
never been
know.
so much more because
It's so wild
it's
watching both sides of that.
I fucking love it, man. I'm a fucking sheep in that aspect because I love the human mind and I love how people can like I can pick up the manipulation stuff so quick where I
Mm-hmm.
probably would never get trafficked unless you had more than one person. Um, but I'm watching, I'm like, dude, they're covering their ass as they're doing the bad stuff. Like technically, these girls knew what they were getting into with Epstein because they still went through with it. It's like, yeah, but you sales pitched it funky. And it's like, this is how you're
Mm-hmm.
covering your ass, man. Where I start looking at my life, like, what was sales pitched to be differently? And I think that's why, like, I'm like upset with how like everything's so biased to one side, is because I'm like, are you fucking manipulating? Like, I can see it now that I've seen it more amongst people.
Yeah. I wish we had more non-biased news sources because they all have their own slant, their own agenda.
We need
It's
less. We need less. You know why?
mm,
So this
I honestly don't watch very much news at all.
So
I
this
watch.
hold on. This is important. This is important. What just popped into my head literally this morning when I was listening to Tim Pool talk, he goes, every news corporation now, like MSNBC, they might side with one thing, but during that Rittenhouse thing, they said a whole different thing. The whole reason,
Mhm.
like the guy who got shot in the bicep, Rittenhouse identified himself as working with the police, and the guy continued to chase after him. Now, either he knew that guy was lying, which he said he thought he, even in the defense, which the defense used against him, was that he identified himself as working with the police. He went after him fucking anyway. So
Yeah.
that shows you something right there.
Yeah, they were attacking him.
But here's the major thing is MSNBC talked about him just having his hands up. Now, Tim Pool, I'm not using him as like just one thing, but here's the
Mhm.
idea. Maybe you can call it a conspiracy, sure. But they lost their viewership of the people that actually cared about the truth because they were just so biased to picking up the audience that they have now. Where if they don't still agree with that same opinion, then they're going to lose the people that are following them now, and they're going to have nobody because now instead of having like the reason why people even say, oh, it's the news, it's the number networks is what they're
Mhm.
talking about, is because back in the day, they were they were the only ones there. It was just the number networks. It's like Anchorman when he first, the second one where he's like working for the 24-hour news, never been done before. There was just the networks. And now there's TikTok. Now there's all these different variations of networks, which has caused them to, it doesn't matter if it's fucking true anymore. We just need to get people's attention. And that's what they're
Yep.
doing.
It's
And I'm
all
like,
clickbait.
if we had less news sources, if we just had a couple of channels, then they wouldn't feel the need. There's a weird thing where the reason why they're
Mhm.
upset with Joe Rogan, they're trying to take him down, is he's got 11 million people that listen to his fucking show. MSNBC has what, 400,000? CNN has 500,000 people
Yeah,
that
why would
average
they
listen
not
to
go
their show.
after Joe? Yep.
That's the thing, is that if you let these news corporations be the only ones out there instead of all these other ones, I guarantee you'll start to see their bias go away and they'll start looking for the truth again. But it's kind of like Nightcrawler. Once you found more profit in trying to create these scenarios rather than just tell the truth or try and find the actual ones, it becomes more profitable and you get your fucking name in. Like when they had
Yep,
the
for
Rittenhouse
sure. You get the
trial,
sensationalism.
the guy had an AR and he pointed at the crowd, but he had his hand on the trigger, and everybody's talking about
Yeah,
him like,
God, that was horrible.
yeah, but I watched the full video where the person who took those pictures for that image, especially, he got jumped up like some person just gave him $1 million. He's like, this could be perfect. Because
Oh yeah,
immediately in
for
his
sure.
head, he thought, this is going to get me so much money when this gets
Mhm.
published. That's a fucking problem, man. That's an issue.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's all anybody wants now is this is gonna get me money. So when it comes down to it though, were you happy with the verdict?
What with Kyle?
Yeah.
I think I would say probably it was the best call just because I think a lot of people weren't really looking at some of the full facts to it. And in
Mhm.
that case scenario, if you think any of those people that were in that mob were going to be nice people about it, they weren't. They were
For
obviously
sure.
not. And I don't think that kid should have been over acting like he had any fucking defense. He was trying to say he was protecting businesses. Fuck that. You're just an
Yeah, I
egotistical
feel
little
the
shit.
same. I feel the same. I was like, why did you go out there in the first place?
Because it was
You
a
know,
guy
why
trying to
did
play
you put
vigilante.
yourself in a place where you could be put into danger in the first place? You know, they've been protesting here in Portland forever now. You know how many times I've gone and protested? None, because I don't want to be part of those idiots.
I think there's a good reason to protest, but there's also people don't know where that line gets drawn. When one
Mhm.
brick is thrown, then you see bricks start flying left and right. And I also think there's people that are having enough of it. And there's also people that think they're going to be the
Mhm.
person to stop those things. And it just
And you
causes
got
more
your
of a
fire starters too, your Antifa guys, your Proud Boy guys. They're always beefing with each other, and they're such pussies about it too, because they won't fight unless there's absolutely some way that they can get away with it or they can justify it. So the whole time they're like, come on, bro, come on, bring it. And they'll sit there and yell at each other for hours
well,
before
they're
someone
trolls.
finally picks up a stick and throws it at someone, and then they're like, oh, he threw a stick, time to go attack him, you know, or whatever.
Well, they're trolls. I've been watching more
Mhm.
Jordan Peterson than ever, and a lot of people give Jordan Peterson a bad rep. But when I'm hearing him talk about things and they do a breakdown of like when a questionnaire person is interviewing him and talking to him, they make assumptions. So if I asked you, like, what do you think about, I'm just going to ask you this question, Jason. What do you think
Okay.
about like the color blue?
It's not my favorite color, but I think it's a nice color.
Oh, so you think that the blue is the worst color in the world? Well, I can agree with you on that. And then they move on
Yep.
to the next question
Yep.
so
And they
quick
never
that
let you say anything
yeah,
else.
so
It's
they
just like,
asked
okay.
they were literally lining up Jordan Peterson. And I think this is where I respect him is because he's able to like notice that language stuff and not fall into those traps. And all these media networks, they
Indeed.
do that type of shit 24/7. And I think they just assumptions lead people to the worst of things, and I think you see that a lot now, and a lot of people assume
Yeah.
things, but it's kind of like when they're talking about the cameras taking a picture of the moon and it inserts pixels now instead of showing you the actual picture of the moon, it's inserting things, kind of morphing it. That's what people do. They insert things and they have these fights that go on in their head that necessarily aren't fucking there. I talked about this before with masks.
Yeah.
And then that creates an alternate scenario where you're at a level 10 coming at someone who's just at a level 1. And I think that's where we start to have the miscommunication things from it.
Right. There aren't enough people that think about others and what other people are going through, because I think there were more people that were more considerate about what people are going through, what level they could possibly be on at any given time and stuff. Have compassion for the people out there that are acting crazy, because they might be acting crazy just because they have some sort of mental problem or something. There's not, they don't just go out there to cause problems. Some people just go out there to cause problems because that's how their brain is wired.
I
It might be they might have been abused as kids. They might have been, molested as kids. There might be something, that's really wrong with that person. And that might be why they're out there doing that kind of stuff.
it's so hard to try and say, oh, people just got to understand people more. I'm like, well, necessarily, a lot of people don't understand those perspectives, but it's just about kind of trying to visualize what that
Mm.
situation is. Like, if everybody had a movie, like, I think there should be more movies about social work. I think there should be more movies about actual scenarios that happen in life so people can understand. It's like, we don't
Yeah.
need a far pitched movie idea
Hmm.
for a space or some type of thing. We need an understanding movie idea of what's going on in the world. I think that all these news scenarios, if they were put into a film that expanded on this one story rather than focusing on the whole thing, that Epstein documentary gave more clarity to me than it did on any of the news outlets that weren't giving me jack shit.
Hmm.
You know,
It would
you need,
give you a little clip here and a little clip there, and it would be slanted towards their narrative. Yep.
and I just think that if we had more movies, let's say about social work, if there were more movies about poverty, if there were more issues about crime, if there was more issues about like, actual movies about this that expanded on it, dramatize it up if you have to,
Hmm.
but it helps people like sympathize. Like social work movies, when I saw The Blind Side, made me fucking like sad for any kid that has to go through a horrible scenario like that or
Yeah.
have a horrible living scenario, even if it links into something when it comes to like drugs or anything like that. Breaking Bad, when Jesse's like having people overdose around him, that should bring clarity like about the drug scenario that's going on as well
Right.
too.
Yep, for sure. I mean, everybody's got problems. We all got it. We're all in this together.
No, we're not. We're always by
Yeah.
ourselves.
Well, I mean, we do the best we can. True though, if I'm out walking with my kids or something, like I give people a lot less care than if I'm just walking by myself. If I'm by myself and I see someone, that has is hurt or has a problem or something, I might help them. If I'm out with my kids, it's just like no time for you, no time for you. Sorry, homeless guy, no time for you. I can't help it. I'm protective like that.
Well, I think that's important, but also in that moment, you should just be worried about your kids, not worrying that someone's going to drive
Hmm.
by and possibly snatch one of them.
Yeah, I do. I don't feel like anyone's gonna snatch my kids. They'd give them back the next day for sure.
You say that, but
Like, take him back. He won't stop talking about Roblox. He's talked to me about
fucking A,
Roblox for
man.
8 hours.
That's a damn mind control experiment right there. Is the amount when Roblox went down, I was wondering how people were dealing with that shit.
Oh, my kids scream when Roblox is down. You hear them both. They howl. Oh, we can't go on Roblox. That's the worst thing in the world right now.
Well, there's no recourse.
Seriously.
There's no recourse if they decide to shut that app down, and then next thing you know, you don't have all that money you spent
For
in
sure.
Robux. They're fucking
Hmm.
gone forever.
For sure. I mean, I'd probably do the same thing if Pokemon Go was down. I'd go to turn it on in the morning and be like, what the hell? Why won't it log in? This is bullshit.
I get so scared for like my friends who've been playing like RuneScape for like 30 something years, like every day getting all their skills 99 and being a god in the
What if
game.
they shuttered and closed all their
Dude,
servers and
fuck,
stuff?
man. You would, I think, dude, I know for a fact some people would like, you think the owners of RuneScape are like, or Jagex, whatever it's called, do you think they just go, look, we can't shut down the servers? Like, it'd be like if someone was reliant on me to do an episode a day, like I would have that crisis where I was like, damn it, if I stop and I want to just not do this anymore, what happens if someone's like just hurts themselves because they lost everything? Like RuneScape's a little bit more impactful. Like RuneScape's
Yeah.
like
And
oh,
people spend a lot of money and invest a lot of time,
yeah, but the
into
owners
it.
have to be like, yo, we can't shut this down. It's like, dude, it's over. Just move on to something else.
The crazy thing is it's been out long enough that it's gone into popularity and out of popularity and into popularity and out of popularity like 4 or 5 times now. So they just ride the wave. It becomes popular again. They ride the wave. They make a little bit. They add a couple things to the game here and there, and then when it starts going back down again, they just keep the servers on.
It's like biggest one we're missing is World of Warcraft. All the people that
Oh, I
fuck
know.
on
I
there
played so
and
much. Oh my god.
have marriages on.
I
Dude, my buddy's dad.
devoted so much time to
Hold
World of
on.
Warcraft. I
My
used to play it all day,
Jesus Christ.
all day long.
Jason, my buddy's dad would spend all day every time I was over there playing that game, and he still does it
Mhm.
today. And it's been about like 15, 16 years since the
Wow,
last
people are
time I went
still
over to his
playing
house.
that.
That's
It's
why I'm like,
crazy.
here's the crazy part is if that just shuts down, his dad used to freak out when the fucking thing would be on a like a server
Oh,
update or something
dude,
like that.
you'd find him in the bathroom with his wrist slit or something,
In the fucking bathtub. That's a good
Goodbye, wow. There'd
that's
be
a
a note on the mirror. Goodbye, wow.
that's
Yep.
a pickup line for a girl's or anybody that you love that you want to date or something. Just walk up to them and be like, hey, I'd like to take a shower with you, but bring it to, oh, I'm the toaster, you're the shower, or something stupid like that, and be like, fucking,
That's like a trying to use a hymn song to get a girl or something. Join me in death, baby. Come on. And they're like, what? Get out of here, you weirdo.
at my
What
gym,
are you, a vampire? Fuck you.
at my gym, we play a lot of 2000s music, and a song was playing, and they're like, "Can you change the station?" I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "It's Nickelback," and I'm like, "Nickelback's
What's
fucking."
wrong with Nickelback? They
I
got some
love
bangers.
Nickelback. I'm like,
They've got
Nickelback's
some good
good.
stuff.
And they're like, no, Nickelback is terrible. Can you change the song? I'm like, it's not even Nickelback. She goes, what? And I'm like, it's Theory of a Dead Man. And it's like the voice that they use. You realize every 2000
Oh,
songs had
I
that
know
high
what one it
pitch.
was. She left the cigarettes.
Yeah.
Which one it was for
But
sure.
that's exactly
She's
what.
a bad
Yeah,
girlfriend.
that's what it is. All those
Mhm.
songs sound exactly
They
like
do.
in the 2000s. They all sound the same. I think Green Day was a little bit different, but then everyone had that. Sometimes I wish my like everyone has
Yeah.
that
Oh
fucking
yeah.
thing to it.
Everybody hit that British accent for punk bands was so huge. And it's like, you're not even British. Where's the British accent come from? But there was afterwards that there was all kinds of bands that were doing that. No, 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 no. And you're like, what? You're American. Come on.
Act American.
I think Billy Joe just held on to it so much that it just became him.
Well, there was a giant trend, which still happens now, which is that artists getting mad on stage and doing something. But
Yeah, they have.
the only
Tiffany just did it the other day.
who?
Tiffany just did it the other day.
What'd she do?
She threw a fit on stage, started cursing people out.
Oh, the only person I've really seen do it correctly was who do you call it up? Billy Joe. Because when Billy Joe, he's like, they told us we only have 15 seconds left to play this song. Well, you know what? Fuck you. And then he sticks his middle finger up, he starts playing, and as the 15 seconds goes down, he goes, you're not gonna give me more time? They go, nope. He goes, fine. He takes his guitar and just starts slamming it against the ground. And everyone's like, yeah. But now it's like someone grabs Justin Bieber's sweater and fucking next thing you know, I'm done, guys. The concert's over. It's like, fuck,
oh, the
dude.
show's over. He touched my shoulder.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah, there's some weenies out there for sure. Like I've known, like there are so many singers that have gotten hit in the face with bottles and stuff and just kept playing, you know, like you can't, any good rock band worth their salt, they just get hit and they just bleed as they're still playing. Because
they're fucking in it. They're in it. They're
pouring down their faces.
They're using it as war
they
paint.
aren't going to take that, you know. And then yeah, a lot of these pop stars are just too weedy. Oh, that guy yelled something at me that I didn't like. I'm out of here.
I like to go back to the age where there was like
I don't know what Tiffany was mad about.
I don't
Who knows?
I like to go back to the
Menopause,
age where
maybe.
there oh shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I like to go back
She's
to
old
the
enough.
I like to go back to the age where there was actual commercials still for cereals and shit that actually weren't terrible. Like where an athlete would come in and be like, "Hey," and you're like, "You just came off my box of cereal." It's like, "Yes, and eat your Wheaties." Like those were good fucking
They're
times.
great.
Like I hated the infomercials because they were just so fucking misleading, but god damn it if they didn't play an importance.
Yeah, I watched a lot of infomercials. I never bought the products. I always thought they were really campy, but I watched them because they were kind of entertaining. You're like, wow, this guy's a real crackhead, and he's this picks up this and this and this, and it vacuums this, and does this, and cooks this, and makes julienne fries. And you're like, what the heck does this thing not do?
I was watching a old commercials, two people on a subway, and it was a guy and a girl, and the guy was like slouched over, and the woman slouched over, and then like just like he was, and then he would like put his head forward and like have his like hand under his chin, and then she would do the same exact thing. Then he would back up. She would back up, and then he jumped up on the seat, and she jumped up on the seat, and they were smiling at each other. And then he sits down and he grabs like goes like this to grab his shirt, and then takes his shirt off, and she doesn't take his shirt off. And then, like,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, she didn't copy that part. But like just the first of all, the female body or just a woman in general, whatever. I don't care how you act in public. Like people like go, we have to gussy up like this, we have to gussy up like that. I saw that and that was fucking hot. Just slouching, doing whatever,
yeah.
acting like whatever you would call a dude acts. I don't know, but this commercial was like last year or something. It was fucking. It doesn't matter to me. But then someone commented, and I was reading the YouTube comments. One of the YouTube comments was like, "This just shows how what women have to do every single day to be feminine." Like, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you burp in front of me.
Right.
I really
I think
don't.
that a personality and a sense of humor is way more attractive in a female than the rest of it. The rest of it, I mean, like, all right, I'll say I'm a little shallow, because like, there's I have standards or whatever, but that personality and that sense of humor goes so far that like I look above so much stuff. Just if someone comes around and makes me laugh and is an awesome person, then that I'm really attracted to that person regardless.
Just be yourself. I think the whole point in life is not only to be surrounded by people that make you smile just when you look at them, but at the same time, like an involuntary smile. Like that's just not about relationships. That's about friendships too. Like when you have someone
For
that
sure.
every time you think of them, you get like a smile, or every time you see a Snapchat, your face lights up like, oh shit, I got something to tell them.
Like you and me. I think that all the time when I send you
When
things.
you
I'm
send me a
like, oh,
Snapchat, it's like Jesus
I
Christ.
hope Robbie gets a kick out of this one. This is a good one.
That's literally my side is when I get a Snapchat from you, I'm like, what the fuck is he gonna say to me? And I look at it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like a fucking paragraph of like,
It
I was
could
at the
be
store,
anything.
and I was like, oh my god.
It could be anything, but like, yeah, it's just if I think of something that I know will get a rise out of you, I'll be like, all right. I get that grin on my face. I'm like, I gotta send
You
this.
just want
Hold
to hear me
on.
fucking rant.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Yeah, I might one day I might send you something to make you laugh. One day I might send you something to make you go, come on.
um, I just
It's
think
all in good fun.
you got to be surrounded by people that generally actually care about how you're doing. And I think a lot of people actually have that interest to care about someone. Like if you put a child in the middle of a room all by himself, you'll have a lot of people asking, hey, where's your parents at? Hey, where's
Mhm.
this? But I think we've popularized that everyone would just kidnap them. And it's like, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, I know. Like it hasn't changed a whole lot since when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I remember walking to school, like, and I lived a good mile and a half at least from the school. I remember walking to school in like the third grade, second and third grade. And I was super young. I was what, 6 or 7 at the time. And I was walking to school by myself. I remember making so many trips to the school and back by myself. And now, like, I won't let my 6 and 7-year-old go out and run around, walk up to the store or
But is it
something.
is it the times, or is it the fact that we've just popularized that this is the narrative now?
I honestly am just scared that someone's gonna, call the police, and the police are gonna bring my kid home and say, "Why are you letting your kid go out? He's not old enough to be out by himself." How old do you have
CSP
to be now?
or CPS,
Yeah,
Child Protection Services.
yeah. How old do you have to be now? Do I have to wait until they're 11 before I can let them go to the store by themselves? I don't know.
Well, even making your kid like pick up his toys, he says no. Is that a child protection services thing?
At 11, I was walking miles across town with a lawnmower to go mow people's lawns and stuff. I don't know what that age is now.
I was too busy trying not to set the house on fire.
I
There's so
set my
many
backyard on
outlets
fire.
and so many forks. And it's like,
Mhm. I totally set my backyard on fire. That's how I learned. That was fun.
I remember, I don't think I've ever really gotten crazy with fire before. Actually, I did have a giant kick when I was like 14 where I was taking axe cans and lighting and then having them like a flamethrower because it was like I felt like
Yeah.
God in a way.
Or you could just spray a little dot on the wall and light it and you go, and then it'd go out.
Until I saw that news report of the kid that got the can exploded and blew off like his hand or something. I was like, oh,
I think so. That's pretty rare. I mean, as far as it
doesn't
goes,
fucking
but
matter. If it happens once, I'm that rarity. That's my whole life is being in that rare scenario.
honestly, you can do that with a lighter though. And I always got a lighter in my pocket, so like, who knows? There's an inherent risk.
See, I'm very wary of that though, because I remember I was at my buddy's house and there was someone below the balcony, and they were taking a lighter and throwing it on the ground. It exploded. I don't. I'm
Mhm.
very careful with lighters when if I have one in my pocket. I'm very careful when I sit. I pull it out. I put it somewhere else. I can't do the whole like people just forget about it. I'm like, I'm
I
always
learned
thinking
a
about
ton
that.
of lighter tricks as a kid. I used to have a friend that would take them and he would wire them so that they were turned on, and then he would make a little wire cradle that would hold it upside down, and he would light it with it turned upside down, so the flame would come up the sides of the lighter, and then you would step back and you would watch, and the whole thing would like engulf in flames eventually, and then we'd make this cool fireball. And
Jesus
another thing that
Christ.
you can do is you can take the
Is he in
flints
prison?
out. I don't know what he's actually. No, he's a father with a bunch of kids now. And he's teaching his kids the trick. But what else you can do? You can take the flint out of a lighter and the spring, and you can extend out the spring. This is what my dad taught me. You can extend out the spring and you can hook the flint into one end of the spring. So you got like a flint bouncing on the end of a spring, right? So you take another lighter and you light up that flint until it gets red hot. And then you can hit that flint on something using your spring, and it will explode into
Stop.
a shower of sparks.
You're giving people bad advice. Bad advice.
Well, if you're pulling apart lighters, you're probably already doing bad things. So
It's like I would look up how to make a chlorine bomb when I was a kid, and like chlorine
I
bombs
know
are
I had
cool.
the anarchist cookbook for years.
Yeah, now you get all those things are like scrubbed offline. I'm like, damn it,
Mhm.
it's fun to put chlorine in a bottle and shake and go 1, 2, and then you chuck it and hopefully it doesn't explode in your face and blind everybody.
Yeah, and I never did any of that stuff. I just had it because I was interested in how to do it.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know how it worked. I wasn't gonna make a bomb and blow something up unless I was gonna go out and take it in the woods or something.
When the world goes to apocalypse, you got to know how to survive.
That's right. Maybe I need to maybe I'm in a home alone situation and I need to make some stuff to save me from intruders.
You think your home is that nice?
Yeah, make a nail bomb
What
at
did
the
his
front
parents do?
door,
What did his
and
fucking parents
then
do to afford that giant ass home and have all those kids and still
right.
take
And
vacations?
honestly, even if they had it broken and stole stuff, you don't think that those rich ass motherfuckers had insurance that could have paid for anything that got stolen? They would have lost a flat screen in a video game system or something. Insurance would have paid for that, please.
The movie would have been a lot shorter if the kid was a mute.
It would have been shorter if he had a gun.
Pow, pow.
They come in the door. They're like, "Hey, a kid." He's like, "Bow, bow."
I about to say if I was
Stand
that
your ground, law.
I was about to say if I was that kid's parents, I'd be like, you're getting a scholarship because you're a fucking genius.
Yeah. He is a mechanical genius for sure. I thought that I don't know those. If after I loved him as a kid. The movies were great as a kid. I even liked the second one. But after a while, when I learned a little bit about physics and stuff, I was like, some of this stuff probably wouldn't have worked the
No
same
shit,
way.
Jason. No shit. It's
Right?
Hollywood.
Like you get hit in the face with a can of paint. It doesn't knock you, 10 feet back behind you. It just knocks a couple teeth out. Stuff like that.
It's Hollywooded up, Jason. Matthew
I
McConaughey
know.
is still not stuck in another
You have
dimension.
to extend your disbelief, right?
It's like when cartoon shows or superhero shows were coming out back in the day and kids were jumping off their roof trying to think they could fly like the superhero.
I used to jump off the roof because of GI Joe.
Jesus.
Because I learned the soldier roll where you jump off a high thing and you land and you tuck your knees and roll. And so I got really good at it. I could jump like off the garage roof and do it.
I don't trust that though. So you're supposed to be what, displacing the gravity or the force and momentum and then putting it into the
Yeah,
ground by
you're kind
rolling.
of rolling the force out basically. But if you don't do it right, you can just hit knees to chest and really hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be forward enough that you get that roll in or else you're screwed.
I'd love
Also, I've seen people just go face first into the ground trying to do that too.
I'd love to be your dad. Be like, God damn it, he's on the roof again. And you're just like, huh, and you do the first time you do the roll, your dad's like, that was fucking sweet. But then he's pulling in, like, had a long day at work and he's fucking rolling up to the driveway.
Like,
He just
I
sees
don't
you.
want to take him in with a broken ankle.
Hold on.
Yeah,
He
right.
just sees you run and jump. And then as soon as you jump, you go knees to chest and just hit yourself and knock yourself out on the ground. He just starts backing out of the driveway, like, not fucking today, man. He'll get up in a little while. It's like I watched a little
No,
kid.
and my dad, he probably would.
My little nephew
No,
slipped
not
and
right.
fell and hit face first on the tile and then chest for like chest and face exact the same time. And then
Mhm.
he goes, they're like, are you okay? He's like, yeah. And he gets up. I'm like, that's a different story if he would have got the wind knocked out of him for the first time.
Mhm.
That's a moment in a kid's life. I just wish they could do a compilation of all the kids getting the wind knocked out of themselves for the first time,
I
just
wish
watching that
that I
humbleness.
had the compilation of all of my greatest hits. I think that would be really fun to watch. I
What's your
used to do
worst?
this thing where I swung on the monkey bars and I would go up so high that I would touch my chest on the other side of the monkey bars. And but the problem was after you do this for a while, your hands get slick and you end up sliding off, but you always slide off at the apex of your stomach up in the air. So like I would fall basically like 6 feet to the concrete and knock the wind out of myself. And I did it like 3 times before I learned my lesson.
What is that though? When you get the wind knocked out, I know it's like you have no air, but like I would like to see your lungs. What are they doing? Like, are they just like not retracting?
I
Are they not?
I think that maybe you just get hit so much that it just short circuits them for a minute. You know, that they just can't do anything for a
It's
second.
like being
And then
force
because you get
choked.
that first breath in and it's just like,
It's
you
like,
know, and it finally like lets you take a breath.
but it's like being force choked. You can't
It
breathe at
feels like
all.
it's almost
Yeah.
like someone's sitting on your chest for a moment.
I would, what's your worst fall that you've ever had as a kid?
The one that I scraped off most of my left nipple.
Explain.
Well, I used to think that I could run and I could run and jump off stuff really good. So then I was trying to run and jump and flip off stuff. Except for one time I went to do it and I knew I didn't have my jump right. So instead of like rolling with the flip, I just like went straight out like I was diving. And I just hit chest first on the ground and just slid. And yeah, I scraped off most of my left nipple, and now my nipples are so sensitive because of it. It scraped off my left nipple, but they both hurt now when it's cold. It sucks. So
Jesus.
that was my worst one. It left a lot of lasting. And then I have a lot of times that I fell and hit the back of my head, like at skate parks and the monkey bar situation and stuff. And I even got knocked out hitting the back of my head about 6 years ago or so. And I feel like there's some brain damage in there from that. I feel like had I not done that so many times, I probably would be doing better today.
Can you imagine if someone like hit you in the head now and it fixes it? And you're like, oh my God, I can see so much more clear.
I wish, because I feel like pre-dementia creeping in sometimes. It's terrible. It's either that or I got some weird imp following me around fucking things up for me, because I'll go to do something and I'll like set something down in the weirdest spot and then walk away. My ADD brain just, you know, thinks of something else and I go off in another direction. But then like Jamie will get on to me because she's like, why did you sit this on this or something? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember.
Where am I?
You know, it feels like dementia's creeping in from all that CTE. I also I used to bang my head on door frames and stuff when I got mad. I get mad and grab a door frame and go bam, 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 bam with my forehead,
As a kid or a grown adult?
like all the way up into my 20s.
Jesus Christ.
So like I don't know how many times I scrambled my poor brain. I'm surprised it still works.
I'm surprised I've remembered so much through conversations where I'm like, what is being pushed out? Maybe
What do you mean?
conspiracies. So the more information you soak in, there's a little bit that your brain goes, well, we don't need this anymore, and they
Oh,
kick
I
some
get you.
stuff out. So
I
I'm
get you.
wondering what I've soaked up, and because I've kept everything basically in there, I can remember
Yeah.
most of the people. I think all the people that were on the show. Actually, I
Mhm.
was clearing my hard drive out because it was telling me my fucking space in my hard drive is full. I'm like,
I'll
bullshit.
bet.
Bullshit. I was like, I don't have anything saved on there. So it's not saving the podcast, only the ones that I haven't released yet. Once I release them, I delete it.
Oh, I see. I
I
get
delete
you.
the file because I can just get it off YouTube or,
Mhm.
MP3 convert it. But I checked my fucking storage thing. It's got all of them from one on there. And I was like, why is this
Wow.
on there? And I go, okay, got to delete them all. So it goes, you have to select them all individually. There's no select all button. So I'm going one,
Oh, that
two,
sucks.
three. So I'm getting so to the point where I'm hitting the down arrow and hitting enter really fast, like back and forth super fast to kind of get it. And then I delete them all. I'm like, okay, so now my hard drive should go down. I'm looking at my cloud drive. It's going 1 gigabyte down out of 100. I'm like, what is happening? And it goes, check the delete folder. I checked the delete folder. They're all still fucking in there. Like, are you sure? I'm like,
You
oh, you.
asshole
So I'm like,
computer.
I got to do it all again. Did it all again. And then as I hit this, every single one, it says, are you sure you want to delete? Yes.
Oh
Enter.
God.
Are you sure you want to delete? Yes. Enter. I'm like, this is going to take me all fucking
What a
day.
nightmare. That's like me deleting emails.
But I was
There's a reason why I
reminiscing.
have 3,600 emails in my email box because I don't want to take all that time to do it.
But I was reminiscing, like when I had Howie Spangler on, when I had all these people on, like Jeff, all these guys that were on, they were sending me separate audio files because I couldn't record properly or something like that. They recorded their own and then I got to use theirs. So it sounded better. And
Yeah.
I was getting all that. I was like, dude, these memories are flooding back like the whole podcast journey. I felt like when you go to like your high school again, you just get graduation goggles of everything. Like, oh my God, I remember all the good times I had at this place. Not all the times you had the shit beat out of you.
Yeah. And it's cool going back to them now because I've heard all of the new stuff. I've heard from about 460 or so. And now that I've listened to the first 50, it's kind of cool that like the memories that you talk about in the podcasts today, I hear about in those early podcasts
Fuck,
as
I got to
well.
get new stories
Like the
then.
taquitos,
Okay.
like those mushy microwave taquitos that you keep
I
talking
hadn't said
about.
that in 900 something
900
episodes.
episodes.
I haven't
Yeah,
said that.
that's what I'm saying.
So that's a
900
while.
episodes apart, and you told the taquitos story, and I'm like, man, if only he had an air fryer, he'd be set.
Well, that's why that was before the air fryer was a big trend, but that just shows you I'm true in what I'm saying. It's consistent shit.
Yeah, I believe you.
Good.
I did not believe you in the first place.
Nah, some people don't.
Yeah, well, some people are assholes.
Sometimes I look at my life and I go, I don't even believe it. Like I can't believe that just happened.
I mean, there's so much crazy, incredible stuff that happens, even to just normal people.
So
It just the amount of weird stuff that happens to you in a lifetime is just intense.
With all the amazing stuff that goes on in the world, you shouldn't be focusing in on the bad because there's beauty around every corner.
That's right.
We're going to end on
That's
that
right.
because I have to go to the bathroom really bad.
I do too.
Okay. Jason, I always appreciate joining you having wait, let me get that out properly. I stuttered and my brain is half asleep. I appreciate having you on the podcast. You're a pleasure to talk to, an amazing human being. Glad I got a perfect part for you in my film.
Awesome.
Great. We got to review it on your show.
Sweet. Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I think you're a great guy. I love talking with you. I always had a good time.
Oh, cool. Compliments
like
are amazing.
The 5th time or something.
It's like
you're awesome.
The 7th time.
Wait, I don't want to say awesome. You're the bee's knees there.
Oh, fuck. Where can people
I love you, brother bear.
Where can people find you, Jason? Where can people find you?
You can look up the Mixed Media Force podcast and find me on there. I've got a couple others that just fell by the wayside, but that's my main one. And you can find me on Twitter under Media Forest Cast or Jason Lamproe. That's my main one.
And I'll link it all in the description. Thanks for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank. Stay tuned.
Much love
for another episode.